Hello everybody and welcome to the NBL1 Show. A splintered, really, 10 days. Easter weekend, of course, saw some games, and Geelong, both the men and women, had a huge weekend. And now we head towards what is going to be a very special 72 hours, the Anzac Day celebrations and games on Wednesday night. And on Anzac Days, we'll lead into a huge weekend in NBL1. My name's Cameron Luke, joined, as always, on the NBL1 desk by Liam Santamaria. Hello, big fella.
How's it going, mate? Happy Easter.
It's a happy Easter to you as well. There was a couple of games going on while you and I relaxed, but we did watch a lot of it, of course, on the YouTube channel. And while we were relaxing below the rim, our very special guest from the Eltham Wildcats, Josh Sykes, who has been wrecking rings left, right and centre, and I say that in the most positive way, joins us. Hello, big fella. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. It was great.
Hey, before we get stuck into what's going to happen over this weekend and what happened last weekend, mate, you have been getting above the rim, getting a lot of commentators very excited. You're feeling good, you're looking good, and you're happy?
Yeah, I mean, getting above the rim is great, but, I mean, we're a bit down, losing a bit much, so... I mean, we can pick that up next week and whatnot. Yeah,
just on that, and of course, thank you for joining us. This is not really a humble show, so don't worry about losing games, mate. If you're getting above the rim, we're about to show you highlights. You just say, hey, you know what? That's what I'm here for, mate. But it's nice to say the cliched 1 week at a time.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned the struggles. You guys went down to Geelong on the weekend, 31-point loss. How impressive is that Geelong Supercats team?
Yeah, Geelong is really impressive. I mean, with the two import guards, they just really go at it. And, I mean, the big guys are really tough as well because you just can't guard athletic guys and a big, stocky guy as well. So. And
DeMarcus Gatlin, in particular, is averaging, 22 points per game right now. He had 28 at a really high clip in this one. He's a handful.
Yeah, he is. He had a really impressive game. I mean, he's very quick. Really good with the boards and whatnot. And
oh, there's you throwing. Was that you throwing that away?
Yeah, just.
You lost to Geelong here. The previous week you went down to Nunawading. They're two kind of legit contenders in the NBL1 this year. Which would you give the edge to thus far, having seen them the last couple of weeks?
I would say Nunawading, just because Nunawading's bigs can shoot. They can really stretch the floor. The guards are unbelievable. They can really do damage on the inside and out. So I would give it to Nunawading.
How are you finding it? Of course, the Big V Grand Final last year. We'll talk about that rematch this week when you take on the Ringwood. But the step up, Big V, and the two teams we just mentioned come from the SABL last year. How are you are you noticing, and what's the main difference between the Big V and the NBL1 comp, and playing against some of these sides who, Nunawading in particular, have spent so much time together?
Yeah, I would say most of the just speed, you know, the speed of the game is really intense now. And be able to create your own shot. So most of our guards are struggling right now creating their own shots and getting up and down the floor. So it's really hurting us that we're not getting back on defense. And also
that was really main conversation of both the men's and the women's. How would the Big V teams go making the step up against some of the Seabull teams? Going into the year as a group after a successful last year and having a fair bit of confidence, one, what was your, I guess, your aim, or what were your goals going into the year, and what realistically did you expect to actually happen? And two, has that changed in the first month of NBL1?
Our goals right now, we're just trying to get together as a team, communicating and whatnot. So I think we are progressing on that. Our goal is to still make playoffs and whatnot. I mean, that's going to be a hard one, and it's going to be really tough. So I think we can do it still, but it's going to be really hard.
Tell me about the Eltham Wildcats Club and Association and what you're enjoying about there, because in the opening round, one of the things that stood out for me from going through the crowds and the highlights was the atmosphere at the Eltham Stadium there at the high school for yours and the women's game. Your women's team made a bit of a splash early in the season and have some really impressive players. You guys have signed Adam Doyle. It seems like there's a fair bit going on with the Wildcats at the moment.
Yeah, over there in Eltham, it's all about the kids, so we're just trying to impress them and whatnot. And, I mean, also we got to get our job done and try to win the game. So we really like to impress and also get the job done, so it's really good.
When it comes to talking about, and I think a lot of associations at this level do a similar thing to try and get the juniors involved, but what do you do yourself outside of playing? Do you coach? Do you go to domestic games? How does it all work within the club?
Of the kids. I'm told you're just king of the kids.
Well, when you're getting above the rim 8 times a game and you're putting on a dunkathon in the pre-game, it's always going to help. But do you have to coach a domestic team? Do you go and run camps? How does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, we run camps. I don't have to coach a domestic team. I do coach a domestic under-18s and also a Friday night under-18. So that's always fun to do. I love coaching like that age is really impressive.
I always find that, and a lot of imports, a lot of senior players do this when they are at an association. Are you a better coach than a player, or how do you coach? Do you coach the same way that you like to play, or do you have to adapt a little bit to whatever squad you got under you?
Yeah, I do adapt a little bit. I would say I'm probably a little bit better coach. I am undefeated in domestic, so
that'll do.
But yeah, Friday nights we can change that.
See, that's the humility we like. We humility undefeated. What team you got domestic?
Hurstbridge under.
You got Hurstbridge, you got Eltham Wildcats.
Diamond Valley, actually.
Right. Wow, that's not cool.
Things started changing.
Do they know that? Does Greg Jeffers know that? Tell us a little bit about your career and where it's going. You left school early. You were going to go to LMU. Went there for a little while. Didn't play. Moved on. Turned pro. Went to Hong Kong. But you're still very young in terms of pro athletes. Your game, what are you trying to develop, and where would you like to get to in the next couple of years?
Well, first things first, I'm actually 36. No. Yeah, I am very young. I still want to just play basketball. I do want to go back to school, but my first thing is I want to get to the NBA. So NBA is the thing that is the goal. So once I get there, then I'll go back to school and doing my stuff. Business and management is a big part, so I got to just keep working hard and getting there. So
Ringwood this Saturday night, and while it's changed a little bit in the competition, still they did beat you in Game 3 last year in the Big V Grand Final. What are your emotions going into it, even though it's changed comps? And there's also the rivalry when it comes to geographical as well. There's always been an Eltham, Ringwood, two Big V, really strong Big V teams, and have met in Grand Finals a few times over the last decade. What are your thoughts and emotions heading into Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday will be a really tough game. Last year we beat them twice during the season, but when it came to the grand final, it was whoever's going to win Game 3. So I just really think it's going to be a really tough game, and I mean we only see them twice this year, so it's going to be really fun.
And
really
you mentioned, of course, Eltham and the atmosphere and the vibe and the excitement there. It's something we spoke about last week with Ringwood as well, when we were watching them play against Kilsyth and some of their highlights. The crowd love it. They're right on top of you, and they're suggestive at sometimes when they're yelling out some of their creativity from the stands. So it is a very fun place to play as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not sure, but I heard that last year there was more Eltham people at the Ringwood Stadium.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So you're calling out the Ringwood fans who don't go. It's always the opposition fans.
I am.
I'm going to be at that one, actually, calling it for NBL1 on the YouTube channel, so can't wait for that one as well. Let's just move on just quickly while Josh is here. Haven't seen Bendigo. Have you seen Bendigo yet?
I haven't seen much. I've seen only a little bit on just their imports, that's it.
I know you've seen a little bit, of course, Bruton there as well. Ray Turner, who we did see in for the Sydney Kings, but they had a win over Frankston last week, and they're a team... Probably not anywhere near as dominant, when we'll talk about their women's side in a moment, but they're a team that, as the year goes on, you can expect them to do some damage as well. Yeah,
I think so. It was good to see them get another win. That's their second. They're 2-3 now. I'm surprised that Frankston went down in this one, to be honest. They went down pretty easy by 15, and off the back of that win they had the previous week at home against Geelong, coming from behind and winning in crunch time against a really good team who we were talking about just before. And then they came here and went down by 15 on the road. So good win for Bendigo, as they're still kind of getting Deontay Burton into the mix, and they've got some other guys stepping up. So that sort of keeps them in touch.
Burton's going to give us a 50 this year.
A 50?
He's going to give us a 50. Yep,
wow.
He's going to give us a 50. It's going to be one of these games where he's going to absolutely explode. It won't be against Eltham.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm telling you, he will give us a 50.
No.
At some point this year.
He's not going to... I don't think he's going to have a 40, but he's going to yam on some people.
I will bet you a steak dinner he has a 40 at a minimum, and I reckon he'll give us a 50 at some point, and I'll even shout Josh as well.
I think Ray Turner will have a 40.
All right, Ray. Well, see, Ray, it's interesting with Ray Turner as well, who I don't disagree with that statement as well, but what's he learnt from the Sydney Kings, the exposure, of course, and playing in a pretty good program and backing up Bogan, and I think as he starts to ease back into the year, and it's been a whirlwind 3 or 4 months for him, I think he will have and that's why I think they'll be dangerous in the second half of the year, because of those two players in particular. All right, my girls. Geelong. Now, you called out on his very show a couple of weeks ago the strength of schedule. In fact, now I'm glad Josh is here, actually.
Yes.
Because you know how he said before about, Eltham women had a really good start?
Yeah.
He didn't tell you what he actually did was question their strength of schedule a couple of weeks ago, which has turned out to be somewhat on the money, to be honest, because this Geelong team who I tipped to win it in the women's side of it were really good
Really
on the
good.
weekend. You would have been there watching a little bit of it as you prepared. What did you make of this?
Yeah, I was watching just a bit. I did see our players really struggle a bit. Our bigs are the ones that are just like being out hustled and whatnot. Obviously, Geelong's big, Ezzy, she's really great. So can't really say nothing bad about her.
Well, she was big in this one. What
Have
did
we
she have,
worked out if
21?
she's going to the WNBA?
She is.
Yeah.
I think she got picked 12.
She did.
But is she going straight away? Because Josh
the thing.
plays with her younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is she going to go for this WNBA season, therefore weakening Geelong NBL1 team, or is she going to stay and go for next year?
Probably next year.
Okay, so
Probably next year.
I stand by my prediction then that Geelong will win it. As long as Jay Shelley hangs around, obviously the collegiate career is obviously awaiting as well, but they looked really good, and that's the type of performance is why I picked them to win the whole thing.
Your girls, right? They had 2-0 start, and they've come up against two big powerhouses. A big game that's coming up this weekend for them against Ringwood. But the two standouts a couple of standouts, but in particular, Schweers, the shooter, and the new import, Maggie Mulligan. What can you tell us about Mulligan in particular, who came out and had in a tough matchup against those Geelong bigs, played pretty well?
Yeah, Maggie's going to do really well against Ringwood, obviously because Ringwood is a little touchy to me, so I feel like Ringwood is going to be a little down on the downside. But yeah, she's really good. Maggie's really good. She can shoot that little mid-range. She can get to the rim pretty easily. Being at 6'2" is going to be really good for them. Swizz, she can shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
So give her the ball, and she's just going to drain that three.
I feel like this is a big game for them because they want to be at that top of all the teams that have come from the Big
no
B.
doubt.
They want, Nunawading and Geelong and Dandenong, they're going to be right at the top, but they want to be that top of that sort of next tier, and if they're going to be that, after losing these couple in a row, they're going to need to win this game.
And if you are and you're in the exact same situation, if you are able to finish above the big V teams, there's a really good chance you're going to play finals. You're going to play some playoffs. You might be one of the lower seeds, but you definitely, and that's a huge result in a year where you step up. And as you touched on, the noticeable difference between the big V and the NBL1 and the teams that make it up. I think if you aim to finish at the top part of the teams that have gone up from the Big V, then you're probably going to play some playoffs, and that's a huge thing for you.
Because that Ringwood team is undefeated right now, 3-0, and we spoke about them last week, so that's going to be a fun one. You're calling that one?
I am going to be there. I think, might be Mark Worthington and I, but that's not confirmed, actually.
Okay.
I will definitely be there if Wortho is not. All right, Anzac Day, and Anzac round as we head into this particular weekend. It's always, obviously the day and the significance around it, and sport has played a huge part in the last 20 years of maybe exposing what the day actually means to the younger generation, and basketball is no different. And without our National League being run at this time of year, the lower levels and the NBL1 in particular have done a really good job of including so many people and having a wonderful time about it. We'll see an Anzac Day Eve games and then Anzac Day as well. We'll start with Frankston and Dandenong, who are traditional rivals as well on Wednesday night.
Yes, and I'm told that that the Centre of Excellence versus Geelong, they're going to host them in Canberra. It may be their only game that they play in Canberra all season. They're going to go to the dawn service, both squads ahead of that, and then head to that game. So no, it should be a good round. I'm interested.
What's your favourite game?
I've got a few I've picked out. In the women,
just before I'm an Eltham. Eltham and Ringwood is by far the biggest game of this weekend, Josh. But go, Liam.
Dandenong versus Melbourne will be interesting on Saturday night in the women's because I think both Beck Cole for Dandenong, Monique Conti for Melbourne. I think they're going to be in Darwin.
Okay.
For the 3x3. So that'll be an interesting one. Geelong versus Kilsyth. Kilsyth women are 1-3. We talked them up a fair bit at the start of the season. They need to get their whips cracking. We spoke about Ringwood and Eltham. And in the men, I'm interested to see how Albury-Wodonga go against the Centre of Excellence. At home on Saturday night. They're obviously 3-0 right now, but they've been Waverley, Ringwood and Diamond Valley. And this Centre of Excellence team had a bunch of their guys playing at the National Championships in Townsville last weekend, and they're going to come back in with Josh Giddey and Mojave King and the Dukas and all those guys. So that's going to be a tough game for them. I'm interested to see the debut of Ballarat's new import, Marquise Coleman, up against Knox, and I think Geelong, Kilsyth. Kilsyth's 2 games are going to be interesting, especially Geelong, and then against Melbourne, Pozoglu and Pinot putting up big numbers, taking on that strong Kilsyth lineup.
So just on Josh Giddey as well, 31 points. That under 18, they were 15 points down at half-time to South Australian Metro and able to get the win of 31 points. Behind Josh Giddey, of course, Dad Warwick played for, 2 sides, but one in particular, Melbourne Tigers. Bendigo have got who this weekend?
In the men?
Or either, because it's the same.
Oh, there's that. Well, it's not. They're playing Northwest Tassie in the man Launceston.
Okay, cool. Because I did have a question. Obviously, Bendigo women are the red-hot favourites right now. I think Geelong are a huge chance to win it. Do you think that Geelong are the number 1 contender to Bendigo based on what we've seen the first month?
Dandenong.
Dandenong?
Cole. 32 points a game.
Yep. The only...
Amy Clydesdale.
You know, the only thing, and we spoke about this, Beck, a couple of weeks ago, is going to be fixturing and scheduling and availability of some of these players.
That's going to impact on Geelong as well. That's going to impact on some of their players. But, boy, Bendigo, we didn't speak about some of the numbers. Gabe Richards put up 29, 15 and 7. And Callie Wilson, who has just been absolutely stuffing the stat sheet, 17 points, 8 assists, and 17 points, 8 rebounds, 16 assists in this win over Frankston.
Could she average a triple-double on the year? Well, because she's not far off it at the moment.
She's not getting the boards, but she could potentially average 15 and 15 with dimes.
And it'd be one of the most remarkable efforts of all time.
From Richards. That full
She's just serving it up
style pass. They are fun to watch, and when they're coming to town, when they are coming to town,
how would you like her just putting it above the rim for you, Josh?
Yeah, exactly.
He's got Adam Doyle. He's got it.
That's true as well.
When this Bendigo women team comes to town to play against your local squad, your team is going to get smacked. But go and watch because they're like a WNBL team playing in the NBL1.
Will they lose a game?
No.
They won't lose a game for the entire year.
No.
There you go. Thanks for dropping by, big fella.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it, man. Good luck this weekend.
Cheers, mate.
I'll see you on Saturday night. Of course, Eltham and Ringwood to go. And a wonderful weekend. Starts Wednesday night. NBL1 runs all weekend over the Anzac weekend. Get involved on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter and on YouTube as well. NBL1 to see all the games. Clear.